All right, since you are all at home or at daycare today, since it's a virtual day, we are going to be doing this on a lined sheet of paper. So you need to find a lined sheet of paper or a blank piece of paper, and up at the top, I need you to label the title, Life Cycles CER, just like I did here. Then, on that first line, you will write claim and underline it. You'll need to skip a few lines and then write evidence and underline it. Skip a few more lines, and then finally you will write reasoning, and you will skip some more lines after that. Remember our snowman. Go ahead and pause the video and make your paper look like mine. All right, your paper should look just like this. If it doesn't, pause it and fix it. So here's what my paper looks like. It's a little bit more detailed than yours. That's okay. You are just going to do yours on a lined sheet of paper and look at mine as we go along. So our CER starts with a scenario. Plants and animals go through life cycles. Biologists are scientists who study living things. Scientists often use models to help them understand information. So in this page, we've got two models here. We have this model, which is labeled Ladybug Life Cycle, and we have this model, which is labeled Marigold Life Cycle, okay? Now, before I even go down to the prompt, which is below, that's like our question, I'm going to make sure I actually look at these two models. So let's zoom in and look at the Ladybug Life Cycle. Ladybug Life Cycle, I see that there are 4 stages here. There's eggs, and then my arrow takes me to larva, and then the arrow takes me to pupa, and then it takes me to adult, and then again, it takes me back to eggs, which means that adult must lay eggs. So I can see that there's a life cycle here. This is the ladybug's life cycle, 4 stages. Now I'm going to go look at the second life cycle it's given us. This one is the marigold life cycle. I can already tell this doesn't look like an insect. It looks more like a plant. So let's look. I can see that the arrows are going this time in the other direction, but that doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna look for the one that looks like a seed. So this looks more like a seed. It's not labeled as a seed, but I can see that there's small parts, and it says gets buried in soil, grows into a new plant. So I know that those must be seeds. So step 1 is the seed, where it's getting buried in soil and growing into a new plant. So then the next step says it looks like this. This is when it emerges from the soil, that means comes up from the soil, and it starts to produce its first leaves. I'm gonna follow the arrow, and the third stage looks like this. Here it's growing taller, and it's starting to produce flower buds. I can see those in the detail of my picture. My 4th stage looks like this, and here it says blooms flower, so here's my flower, and it produces seeds, so I can see that there's seeds inside there. So those seeds must be then what fall out or are dispersed, and then start this life cycle all over again. So I have 2 life cycles. I have a ladybug, which is an insect, and I have a marigold, which is a plant or a flower. So now let's read our prompt. Write a claim using scientific evidence stating how the life cycle of a ladybug and a marigold are similar. So I'm going to highlight the most important part. So I need to write a scientific claim about how the life cycle of a ladybug and marigold are similar. So how they're the same, okay? Or what do they have in common? So remember, I'm going to go down to my claim section, and you can too on your paper. And my claim needs to just be the answer to the question. It's just 1 sentence. It's not very long. It's just a sentence. So let me try this again. My sentence could be something like this. 1 sentence to answer how a ladybug and a marigold life cycle are the same. Well, I know they both go through 4 stages, and the 4 stages are kind of similar. They change along the way. So I could say the life cycles of a ladybug and a marigold both go through similar, or both have similar stages. Both have similar stages. So I'm going to ask myself, did I answer the question that I highlighted in red, how the life cycle of a ladybug and marigold are similar? Well, I said the life cycle of a ladybug and a marigold both have similar stages. Now, I'm going to explain why they have those similar stages and how they go through those a little bit later. Now I'm on to my evidence. My evidence has to prove that they have similar stages, okay? So if you have not finished writing claim, press pause and finish writing that claim first. Then press play to listen to evidence. Now it's time for our evidence. We're going to explain why those stages are similar. So I have 3 lines. I know it should be more than just my claim. I should give more information. So let's think about how these 2 life cycles are actually similar in their stages. Well, let's look at stage 1. The ladybug stage 1 is an egg. The marigold stage 1 is a seed. So they both begin very small, right? So we could say something like the marigold begins as a seed and the ladybug begins as an egg. So those are similar because they're both really small. I can see that those are similar starting points of this life cycle. Another thing I can write is that throughout their life cycle, both of these are getting bigger. So egg is really the smallest stage for the ladybug, and a seed is the smallest stage for that marigold. So I could say that the marigold and the ladybug grow bigger after beginning their life. They both grow bigger. That's another reason why they're similar and they have similar stages. Another piece of evidence from our models right above would be that they both have that stage where they're reproducing. That means that they're creating new life. In the ladybug, it would be here, right, where the adult lays more eggs. In our marigold, it would be here where it says produces seeds, and then those seeds are dispersed, right, starting that life cycle again. So if I go back to my evidence, my third piece of evidence could be the marigold and ladybug, reproduce to create new life. And maybe I put in there eggs and seeds. So right now what I'd like you to do is pause the video until you have this down under your evidence section of your paper. All right, if you are still listening, it means you have finished the evidence part and we are moving on to reasoning. Reasoning, if you remember, is connecting it to science. So it's including a lot more information and making the whole make sense. So not just your answer, not just your evidence, but incorporating both of those into a scientific explanation or explaining why they're correct. So I'm going to draw my text box and you are moving down to that reasoning section of your paper as we write. So I might start it off by saying that living things have life cycles, and life cycles can have similar stages. So all living things have life cycles. You'll notice I didn't write this above in any of those sections. I'm kind of using my own words to expand on what I've already said above. So all living things have life cycles. Life cycles, oops, I need to capitalize that. life cycles can have similar stages. So we know that in life cycles in general, they're going to start small, right? They're going to begin their life starting small. They're then going to grow up, grow into an adult. They're going to eventually reproduce, and then eventually they're going to die, okay? So living things are first born, then they grow to become adults, they reproduce, and then die. Those are the stages of a common life cycle. In our example, now we'll tie our example in, both the marigold and the ladybug, begin their life when they're small. All right, seed or egg. We know that both of them then move on to grow up a little bit. So then they grow. And eventually become adult or mature. After that, they reproduce, to make more seeds or eggs. Oops. Then they die. Life cycles form or follow, that's a better word, follow a pattern. So you can see here, my total answer or my complete answer was all living things have life cycles. Life cycles can have similar stages. Living things are first born, then they grow to become adults, they reproduce, then they die. Both the marigold and the ladybug begin their life when they are small, seed or egg. Then they grow and eventually become adult or mature. After that, they reproduce to make more seeds or eggs. Then they die. Life cycles follow a pattern. So I didn't copy exactly what I did for my claim. I didn't copy exactly what I did for the evidence, but I did use these pieces of my evidence to then explain my reasoning a little bit further. I ended by connecting it to science as a whole by saying that life cycles actually follow a pattern. Go ahead and pause this video and write your reasoning on your piece of paper. When you are all done with your claim, your evidence, and your reasoning, you're going to go to Notability and you're going to start a new note. You're then going to click this plus sign, camera, and you need to take a picture of the paper you just wrote. Once you insert that picture, mine's not going to work if you take it ahead of time. Ooh, it's dark in my room. Let's say I took a picture. Obviously, this wouldn't give you credit, but it's going to insert it very small. See how it's so small? You need to go to the corner and you need to stretch it out so that it fits the entire page. Now you can go ahead and upload this to Schoology as an assignment. It is called Life Cycles CER. Go ahead and upload it now.